Hi, today's lesson is 2.4 long division. So the first one we have is just a basic long division problem to kind of get you started before we throw variables and exponents in there. So you have your dividend, 256, being divided by the divisor of 5. So the first thing you do in these types of problems is you divide, okay? Step 1. So can 5 divide in 2? No, so we go to the next number. Can 5 divide in 25? Yes. So you think about how many times can 5 divide in 25, which is 5 times. So 5 times 5 is 25. And then we subtract, which gives us 0. And we bring down the next number and we repeat the process. So we want to divide 5 by 6. So how many times can 5 go into 6, which is 1 time? 5 times 1 is 5. We subtract, we get a value of 1. Now, typically, there are students that have been taught to do an R remainder, but in our questions, we are going to have a fraction remainder. So you're going to take your remainder and you're going to add it as a fraction over the divisor. So 1/5. So you have a fraction remainder. So our answer would be 51 plus 1/5. And so let's go over those steps again. So step 1, you're thinking about the dividing. Step 2, you multiply. Step 3, you subtract, which I always use a different color, the little blue to indicate my subtraction. And step 4 is to bring down, as we bring down the next term. And step 5 is to repeat the process. And so we are going to do this process, but with variables and exponents. So number 2, 6x squared plus 7x plus 2 divided by 2x plus 1. Okay. So this is a different way of writing the problem, but in this case, the numerator is going to be your dividend, and your denominator is going to be your divisor. So we're dividing 6x squared plus 7x plus 2 by 2x plus 1. Okay, so we want to divide just the first term, okay? So when we're thinking about dividing, we want to think just about the first term. But when we multiply, we will multiply to the whole thing. So we want to think, what is 6x squared divided by 2x? Okay, what is 6x squared divided by 2x? So thinking about the numbers, 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. X squared divided by x is going to be x. So 3x times 2x would get me back to 6x squared. And that's what we want. We want that first term to become 0 and cancel out so we can add more terms to it. So 6x squared divided by 2x is 3x. Now we need to multiply. Now when you multiply, you are going to multiply to both terms. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared, and 3x times 1 is positive 3x. Okay, here's where things get important. So remember, it's important to think about subtracting as an opposite color or a highlight or anything, but this is the most misstep, is forgetting to subtract and changing what would have been a positive now is a negative, or some cases what is a negative now positive. So remember that first term should always cancel out. If it doesn't, then something went wrong. So this cancels, so when you get 7x minus 3x, which is 4x, bring down the plus 2, you don't have to draw the arrow, and repeat the process. So 4x divided by 2x, okay? 4x divided by 2x is going to be just positive 2. Then I multiply. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times 1 is 2. Subtract, and I get a value of 0, which means I have a perfect relationship here, and there's no remainder. Okay, now when we have this situation, it's probably a little bit harder for you to think, did I do this correctly? So the best way to do a checking method is to do your inverse operation. We just divided, and the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So to check your answer, which you're not required to do, but it's always good to do so you know that you got it right, is to take your divisor and multiply it to your answer, or the quotient of your work. And you multiply it. So you multiply it just like the lesson we just learned, which multiplying polynomials. So I have 2x times 3x, 2x times 2, 1 times 3x, and 1 times 2. Combine like terms, and I got my original dividend. So I must have gotten this answer correct. So 3x plus 2 is the answer. Okay, good job, everyone. Let's go to the next one. 4x squared plus 23x minus 16 divided by x plus 5. So we have 4x squared plus 23x. Oh, you guys can't see that. Minus 16 divided by x plus 5. So again, thinking of just the first term with the dividing process, 4x squared divided by x is going to be 4x. And I don't care where you line it up. It doesn't have to be like lined up with the variables underneath it or anything like that, as long as it's written up there nice and neatly. Then we multiply 4x times x, 4x squared, 4x times 5 is 20x. Subtract, again, I would suggest using a different color. Doesn't matter what color. First term always should cancel out. And we have 23x minus 20x, which is 3x. Repeat the process. Oh, sorry, bring down and repeat the process. So 3x divided by x. So 3x divided by x is going to be positive 3. Another way of thinking about it is what times this would get me to 3x. Okay, so if you can't think about 3x divided by x, think of it in the reverse. What times this first term would get me to 3x? And that would be 3. 3 times x is 3x. So 3 times x is 3x, like I just said. 3 times 5 is 15. Then when we subtract, (3x) cancels out, negative 16 minus 15 is negative 31. Okay, now I can't bring anything down, and negative 31 can't be divided by simply x plus 5, so this becomes my remainder. So I have plus negative 31 divided by x plus 5. Okay, now how do I check a method with a remainder? you will take your divisor, x plus 5, and you will multiply it by the normal part of your quotient answer, not the remainder, just the normal part. Multiply that out. So x times 4x, x times 3, 5 times 4x, and 5 times 3. So we get 4x squared plus 23x plus 15, which is very close to our original answer. But it's not there, it's almost there. What do? You take the numerator, or just the basic of the remainder without the fraction part, and you're going to add that remainder to your problem. So I'm going to add negative 31. And when I add that, I get 4x squared plus 23x minus 16, which was my original problem. So when you're checking with a remainder, multiply the divisor by the basic or the normal part of your quotient, and then add the remainder in, and that's the method of checking. Okay, we have 2 more problems to go. Let me get that ready. Okay, let's try number 4. 8x cubed minus 22x squared minus 5x plus 12, all divided by 4x plus 3. So, set up our problem, our dividend and our divisor. Okay, and then we start the process. So 8x cubed divided by 4x is 2x squared. Okay, make sure the variables and the numbers both match up. When I multiply, we get 8x cubed times, plus 6x squared. Then I'm going to subtract. That first term should always cancel. Then I have negative 22x squared minus 6x squared. And I get negative 28x squared. Bring down negative 5x. Then I repeat the process. Negative 28x squared divided by 4x, or what times 4x will get me to negative 28x squared, which would be negative 7x. Multiply. I get negative 7x times 3, which is negative 21x. And we got to change the sign. This is the first time we've had negative. So if you're subtracting a negative, what happens? It becomes positive. So now I have positive 16x plus 12. Again, repeat the process. 16x divided by 4x, or what times 4x will get me to 16x, which is plus 4, positive 4. Multiply. Subtract. And we get 0. So therefore, we have our answer. Again, it's not required that you check every single answer. Okay, but if you do check this answer, you will get that this is the correct answer. So good work. Okay, we have one more, number 5. 3x to the 4th minus 4x cubed plus 12x squared plus 5 divided by x squared plus 1. Okay. So in this problem, something you may have noticed, is that this is missing a term. We go from x to the fourth, x cubed, x squared, and we jump to 5. We're missing the variable x. And that actually will cause an issue later in our information. So you always want to insert a 0 when a variable is missing. So that is 3x to the fourth minus 4x cubed plus 12x squared plus 0x plus 5. And on the outside, you don't have to add a 0x here because we are missing an x here. It's really important when it's under or when it's the dividend, but you can also do it on the outside, and that just looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause here and let you go ahead and try it. So there'll be a pause, and I want you to go ahead and try this one. Okay, let's see how that one went for you. So 3x to the fourth divided by x squared is going to be 3x squared. Then we're going to multiply. We get 0x cubed. And we get positive 3x squared. Now you don't have to write the 0x cubed. Sometimes it's helpful just to keep things lined up. Forgot to do my subtraction sign. So 3x to the fourth cancels out. Negative 4x cubed minus 0 is obviously still negative 4x cubed. My line kind of got there in the way there. Let's try that again. Better, okay. And then 12x squared minus 3x squared is positive 9x squared. Okay, and bring down 0x. Now I have negative 4x cubed divided by x squared, which is going to be negative 4x. Multiply through. Subtract my terms, which in this case means taking all my negatives and turning them positive. First term cancels, get 9x squared plus 4x plus 5. Now, if I hadn't had the 0x, I wouldn't have had anywhere to put 4x. So that 0x is very important. Then we do it again. 9x squared divided by x squared is positive 9. Multiply the 9. Then we subtract our terms. And I get 4x minus 4. Okay, now 4x can't divide x squared because the power is higher. Can't do that. So therefore, this must be my remainder. So plus 4x minus 4 divided by x squared plus 1. And that is my answer. Okay, so good job and good luck on your homework.